Asher Low. It'll be grand.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sure It'll Be Grand. And welcome back to our reviews about the Rings of Power. We're at episode 7. It's hard to believe the season's almost over. Episode 8, by the time you hear this, like tomorrow. But yeah, no, it's a mad one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because I keep thinking, 8 episodes is very short, but every episode's been like an hour and 10 minutes, roughly.
Yeah.
Like it's
like a short film.
they're long episodes. Like it's not like we've been
It's a feature.
robbed of
a
anything.
feature
Yeah,
length.
it's still like fucking 10 hours of stuff, roughly.
Yeah,
I'm
which
feeling
is
the last one
almost
might
as
be
much
even
as the
longer.
extended cut.
I wonder how long the last one is going to be. I feel like it might be even longer than usual, potentially.
Man, I
don't know.
Until we I can't wait till we do a like proper sit down of watching, all the Lord of the Rings extended editions. You know how we do.
Yeah.
But start putting this TV show in. Anyway, they've been watching for a month.
We started. If we start today, we'll have it done by next summer, maybe.
Yeah. And the thing again, like you mentioned last episode, just to quickly bring it up, we won't necessarily like have 5 seasons of just the Rings of Power. They're committed to doing 5 seasons of anything Lord of the Rings related. So we might jump into different things altogether.
Yeah. So that was me. I said that last time out. I actually think so. The head of Amazon TV, whose name escapes me at the moment, did an interview a couple of days ago, whatever, recently. But since we last spoke, and
everything's relative when you say couple.
yes, and the way she spoke in that was actually that it's 5 seasons of Rings of Power.
Okay.
Now, that's not to say obviously they can do other Lord of the Rings things, and they most certainly probably will. Here's really fingers crossed that the old young Aragorn rumors go away and we never see that. But
oh yeah, I saw one I want to see though. A lot of people talking about like War of the Rohirrim, like a story about Rohan and its warriors, and it's just like I'd be there in a fucking heartbeat.
what about a rom-com between Gollum and the Ring?
Oh, I seen that. No. Thing is, right, if you asked me about this 5 years ago, I would roll my eyes. Oh, it's so stupid. But like, going over to the Star Trek universe, we have things like Lower Decks, which is most people when they see the thing, it's just like Rick and Morty, but it's Star Trek. But like, it's more to it. Like, it's very much a love for the franchise. There's actually some depth and interesting lore that's been built. So like, I don't mind a little bit of humor as long as they make it clear that the rom-com and the fun, lovey-dovey relationship is in Gollum's head. Like, it's...
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it was...
Everything is lovely, and then it goes over to him and goes like, this is actually terrible. This is awful.
Yeah, like, there wasn't a serious suggestion either. That was the...
But that's what I'm saying.
They
Though.
asked...
5 years ago, I would have mocked it. But, like, we've seen
I'll
these
mock
shows
it.
now.
It's a terrible
Yeah,
idea.
I'm sorry. Okay, but it still works as a part of a bigger franchise to have something like an animated side thing that does a bit of tongue-in-cheek while still telling stories.
No, it doesn't,
I mean,
Dan.
Come on, think about it.
The Lord of the
Martin
Rings must
Sauron-
always be serious. Always. We must never, ever make fun of it. Ever.
Don't tell the elf.
Except when we do it on this show.
Yeah.
Then it's fine,
Yeah.
okay? Now, I have an idea I want to pitch
yeah.
for a TV show for the Lord of the Rings, and it's what if there was a rom-com between Gollum and the Ring. There. It's my idea now, and it's great.
I want an anime where Frodo's late to high school and he has to hold like a piece of toast in his mouth when he runs down the street. Just weird anime thing.
You just want
that trope,
Hobbit High School?
Like
Hobbit
toast
High.
in their mouth when they're late.
Hobbit High, and it's a play on words because the hobbits are always smoking the fucking Greenleaf.
Radagast is the principal.
We're geniuses. Somebody get Jeff Bezos on the phone. I need to speak to him urgently about several things,
call
actually.
him on his space station.
Yeah, get up
He's just
there. Here. Anyone have a direct line to William Shatner? We need to get him on the floor.
Oh,
Get us
God.
Jeff Bezos. Let's sit him down in a room. We've lots of things to talk about, not just the Lord of the Rings. I also want to talk to him about the cruel world of capitalism and how he's ruining society. But First and foremost,
Really good job.
yeah.
Power, dude.
First and foremost, it's Lord of the Rings.
Love your work. You're a terrible human being, but goddamn, though, I love buying from you.
Yeah, god damn it really is convenient, isn't it?
God damn, I don't know how to give you up. Anyway, yes, we're back with Rings of Power. Last time, the emotions were high. They just won a battle. The Numenorians came to their brethren, the Southlanders. They're like, yeah, we did it. And then things went bad because, Mount Doom woke up and in kind of a cheesy way, we see like the stencils of Mordor appearing. It kind of, we didn't mention last week, but like literally as we see the volcano and it was like, what will we call this land, Adar? And it's just like, it changed from the Southlands to like Mordor.
Was that not this week?
What's that?
That was this week.
Was it? Oh, God.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay, sorry. I mentioned to Owen before this because Owen's meant to host this episode. He's feeling a bit under the weather. I said, look, Owen, I'll do this, no worries. Just let me know.
Yeah, no, that was the final shot of
Instantly.
the episode that we're here to talk about.
I skipped the entire episode. Anyway, folks, we'll see you next week.
Last week's ended with the giant fucking storm cloud slamming into Galadriel,
I don't know,
I think.
I guess Adar and his crew just kind of chilled out for like. No one asked about what they named the land. So they went, should name it something. Oh yeah. Anyway, yes, Galadriel somehow survived. There's horses on fire. There are people running. Houses collapsing. Isildur's definitely dead, right? Like he died. There's no way he survived.
Listen, okay. First and foremost, right? The opening of this episode is really fucking cool. It looks
really cool,
incredible. Yeah. It's really, really nice to look at just from that perspective. The shot that's been used multiple times now in trailers and stuff of Galadriel's eye covered in ash and stuff when she opens her eye.
It's amazing.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And even honestly,
armor being caked in the dust. It's such an aesthetic.
Yeah, it's stunning. It's actually really cool to look at to a certain point, but that's later. So she's fucked, really, isn't she? She's kind of stumbling around the place. She can't find anyone at first except for Theo. She finds Theo, the kid who's is lusting after the dark side or whatever. Which is a weird pairing, to be honest. And I thought they stuck Galadriel and Theo together for a lot of this episode. I thought maybe initially they were going to do like, let's put people together who've never been together before. We're going to have Galadriel and Theo, and Arondir and Isildur are going to roam around the place, and the Queen is going to be with Bronwyn, and people who don't hang out are going to hang out for the first time. They didn't really necessarily do that. It was kind of they just stuck Theo with Galadriel for a lot of it.
I kind of dug it because you say they don't have much common, but they kind of do. They both have kind of toyed with the dark side.
No, not that they don't have anything common. I mean, just that. The people who have never done anything together before. Yeah. Like, not that they would have reason to speak to each other, but they haven't up to this point, mainly because they've never met.
Galadriel is going through therapy by other people suffering because they keep asking her, and she's like, "God damn, it's true. Now I have to think of my elvish teachings. Oh, this applies to me."
Yeah, she's a lot of talking to herself, even though she's speaking to Theo, really.
She's like, and as a proud elf, you need to look inside. I'm not an elf. You have to look inside yourself. And I quite like it. There's a bit of a squire and master thing going on between the two of them because she's like, "We'll make you a warrior yet," which is a bit presumptive, but fair enough. Maybe he doesn't want to be a warrior. He wants to be a warrior. I have a feeling he's going to be a big character.
Yeah, warrior for evil. He's the Witch King.
I think he's the Witch King rather than what most people think is Sorry, what's his name again?
Halbrand.
Yeah, I suppose called Brandwin.
No, I think he's just I actually have come full 360 on Halbrand. I think he's just a nice guy now. He's just a dude. He's just
I think he suffered
chill,
as a Southlander, but he I quite like him as well. Definitely he came off definitely. I was like, this is Sauron. This is the guy who's going to be Sauron. Let's be real. he very much felt the planted idea of
Yeah,
who Sauron might
he
be.
did, and it's like, but again, I think I said this way back in episode 2 or 3 that I came to my personal decision then was that the show, none of these people were Sauron. The show just
No.
wanted us to feel there. It's like a fucking mystery box type thing. They were just like, no, anybody could be Sauron. What if it's him? And what if it's this guy? And what if it's her? And they just wanted us to talk about it, which we did, and it was great.
Yeah.
But I'm
So here's a
trying.
question
I'm
for you
trying not to think along the lines of like every time somebody shows up, it's like,
Yeah.
it's him, it's Sauron. Except for something that I'll talk about later in regards to the trailer that they released for the finale. But we'll talk about that at the end.
Just yet. But question, or should I ask the question at the end? Do you think we'll see Sauron this season?
Yes,
We'll wait to that.
yes,
Okay,
and I will explain that later.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, things are bad though. The world is full of ash. People have been burnt or died. I mean, I've seen people online giving out, "Oh, why did Galadriel just survive looking at ash?" Okay, because she's Galadriel. She's a fucking elf. She's superpowers. Like, why does everyone every time they see anything slightly unscientific go, "Ooh, this is wrong"? It's like, all right, let's calm the fuck down.
People want. First of all, they want to find issues with it.
Yeah.
Well, not just with this, just with things in general. I think, and it's also, I can't remember what episode or what film we did. I talked about this briefly. It's the CinemaSins effect. A lot of it as well. In that CinemaSins, a channel I used to really like, to be fair, because it was never supposed to be serious commentary. It was satire. He was taking the piss, right? Yeah. He was pointing out clearly tiny, stupid things that don't matter at all in the context of the film. Right? It was stupid. Yeah, it was just stupid, and it was funny most of the time. And it's so popular now that like people think that pointing out, blah blah blah, actually that's not how geology works, is like a fucking ding against a movie. Like, it's a movie. It's not a documentary about the creation of Mordor or anything. Like, it's not. And it's also like, it's the Neil deGrasse Tyson school of film criticism.
God,
okay,
yeah.
Like, it makes no fucking sense. That arrogant piece of shit tweeted yesterday, and it was basically saying that actually in Top Gun Maverick, if Tom Cruise was traveling at 8 Gs when he ejected from that plane, his body would have turned to mush when he came out of the cabin. And you're just like, it's a movie, Neil. Who stole the joy from your heart, you sex predator?
Sorry?
There's allegations.
All right. Let's not go down that road.
Anyway, Galadriel's alive. She's great. She's covered. Well, she's not great. That's
Here's the thing, right? But the same people who are giving up with Galadriel surviving this. I've always been them. Oh, Galadriel's not that powerful. We've seen her fight Sauron in like The Hobbit, and she's way stronger. What's going on here? And now, like, how could she survive a lava ash thing? It's like, make up your mind, you know? She can either fight Sauron, or she gets hurt by like ash and ice. You can only have one, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, doesn't matter.
Leave her alone. She's been through a lot.
I would say, you've mentioned last week that I've been seeing just the bad side of the community. Talk about it. I have looked into other places now, you know, like Reddit and all that, and Twitter. And yeah, no, you're right. For the most part, people are actually quite enjoying this. And interesting for the most part, a lot like hardcore fans, which I was actually kind of worried about. When I say hardcore, I mean people who are entrenched in the lore and the Silmarillion side. But most of them are just like, no, they like this adaptation. They understand, like, it's a TV series. It's going to be a bit different, you know?
Most people are like us in that they understand that it's like the key word is adaptation.
Yeah.
Like, it's not inherent in the word adapt is change. Like, you can't just go, let's just take everything word for word and stick it on a fucking screen. Number one, because to do that with Lord of the Rings each episode would be 17 days long, probably.
And it'd be mostly about trees.
And just a lot of still photography of leaves and stuff. But like, you just can't do it. Like, they're different mediums. They don't work the same way. I
kind of said the same thing about The Sandman. You know, I think The Sandman is an excellent adaptation, or adaptation, as I say. But it is different to the original source material. They taking characters out, change things around. But it only has to be with the spirit and idea of these stories. Those are the important things to get right. You know?
Yeah, definitely. And it's also like, I think the biggest thing for me is that, like, look, fine. If the Rings of Power come out and I hated it for whatever reason,
Yeah.
it's not like this being a thing means the Lord of the Rings books don't exist anymore.
Yeah. They're not saying, okay, we're going to edit the Lord of the Rings
You
books
c-
now to
there's-
put them in line
yeah,
with this.
There's not just one at a time. You can go and look at
Yeah.
the other things. That's why it's fine with like things like the MCU and whatever. I don't particularly like most of it. But that's
Yeah.
fine. There's a couple of bits that I do like. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not like I can like what's her name? Mr. I can like Miss Marvel.
Mr. Fantastic,
and I
you just
can
love
hate-
one character
yeah.
from it.
Yeah, I couldn't think of one character of the MCU. I had to just
Yeah.
pluck Mr. something out of my head. But I can
Well,
like
yeah.
Miss Marvel, and at the same time I can dislike a lot of the other
Yeah.
Disney Plus shows. Like,
Yeah.
you know, they're not.
Yeah.
You don't have to like them all.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, it's like, people who are upset about She-Hulk, right? Fair enough. You don't have to like it, but like they're not going out there and ripping up comics. Now, Alistair, a guy who will, I've been getting ready to do Spider-Man comics reviews for this channel, does mention there is a knock-on effect of current media. So if you have Marvel TV shows, they tend to try to then make the comics match the TVs and movies a bit more, and that can have an effect. And that's a fair enough point. Like, maybe you don't like how media you enjoyed is being changed because people enjoyed another media that's just have to be connected to it. There is something to be said there, I think.
Yeah, there is, but also at the same time, just because a new She-Hulk comic comes out in which that version of Jen Walters is more like the MCU version,
Yeah.
the old She-Hulk comics are still there.
Yeah. It
You
is,
know.
yeah. I guess, but people want more stuff. That's
They
the
do,
only
obviously.
thing,
Yeah, obviously, I get it. They want, like, look, it's fine, but I just think you don't. It doesn't. Everything
Well,
doesn't
for
have
the
to
Lord of
be
the Rings,
the
that
same.
Tolkien's not going to be releasing any books anytime soon.
No, I'd say now, I don't think they're going to ever at any point release a sequel book written by somebody else to the Lord of the Rings,
Lord of the
in
Rings
which
2.
in which like Aragorn is like more like Viggo Mortensen or something like that. I don't think that's ever really going to happen.
No. Though Tolkien was planning on writing a sequel to The Lord of the Rings at one stage that was set after Aragorn's death.
Yeah,
And,
well, he's dead now.
yeah, he decided to do that because of he
Tolkien,
loved
I mean,
Peter Jackson movies,
also Aragorn.
you know.
Big fan, big fan of them.
Yeah. His son was really confused by it because he's always saying, "No, my father would hate this." But no, Tolkien, used to just run to the cinema, watch the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah.
Loved them. He really wanted them to make that Beatles Hobbit movie as well, but they just wouldn't let them. It's terrible.
So the Rings of Power.
Anyway, yeah, the Rings of Power, folks.
I mean, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it seems to be most of the story on Galadriel's side and the Numenorians is, hey, we need to get out of the ashes and see who has survived. Like we said, Galadriel and Theo are walking together and, helping each other mentally. And we find the Queen and Elendil are making their way back, and she...
Well, yeah, just before you... Because the Isildur thing happens then, before the Queen.
Yeah.
With the Queen,
Yeah, so,
she's there, she's present, she's dying,
Yeah,
sort of.
Yeah, she arrives and to Elendil, and Elendil is like, hey, terrible, what happened back there? Anyway, where's my son? And they're like, he died. He's dead. His horse is very upset.
He's Isildur's like trapped. It's Antomo is the other guy's name, right? Isildur's friend. It's him and Isildur and the Queen are there in the burning mess of messiness.
Yeah.
And Isildur gets trapped or whatever. A building falls on top of him, and the Queen keeps saying,
he's
"Soldier." She doesn't call anyone by name. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. For future scene, she just keeps saying "soldier." I wonder why. We'll find out in the next chapter. Yeah.
She
So
doesn't know good names. I do that. When
she
people
also
call me out
doesn't
in the
know
street,
who
I
these
know
people
me.
are. Yeah.
Yeah, no. When I'm in the street, like when I go home sometimes, I know people from school. I know them by their faces, and they say, "Well done." I go, "Well, man." So I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't know your
She
name.
has the
I'm
opposite
sorry.
problem now. She doesn't
Yeah.
know their faces at
Yeah.
all. Yeah. So Sealer's dead.
Yes, definitely dead.
He's dead.
Just as dead as
Sealer's dead.
Galadriel's
Can't
husband,
believe.
Celebrimbor. Celebrimbor's definitely dead. She last saw him there, and when she last saw him, that means he's dead, right?
Yes, Celeborn is dead as well.
Yeah.
That was a weird conversation.
It was a bit. It was like, yes, my brother died. Also, my husband.
It's not even because she doesn't. She's just like, oh, and I haven't seen my husband in like a couple of 100 years. Don't know where he is. He could be dead. You're like,
she seems to imply that he died.
yeah,
but
she thinks he's dead,
yeah,
but he's not.
No.
Like Celeborn is not dead. We know this.
Again, you know how the elves don't pay attention to time. He might just be out like going to the shops.
He's just chilling, man. He's just chilling in the fucking woods. He's just hanging out.
I mean, the whole thing we could argue is that maybe he was captured by the enemy, tortured, and all this kind of stuff. You know, that stuff like that might be happening.
Yeah, maybe.
It would explain why he hasn't been around.
I actually have no idea. I don't know much about. Did Celeborn fight in the wars and stuff?
Yeah. I mean, Celeborn is a big character in the books. You know,
I'll be honest with you. I forgot up until that she mentioned him that Galadriel had a husband at this point.
I'll be real with you. When I was younger, before I read the books, when I was watching the Lord of the Rings films, you know when Galadriel walks down with her husband? In my head, the husband and the elf that goes to see Aragorn and Helm's Deep were the same person for a long time. In my head.
No, don't belittle the sacrifice of...
I don't belittle it. I just thought they were the same person.
Whose name I can't remember. Speaking of things that the movies changed. The elves at Helm's Deep.
Yes. And where was Arwen? She was meant to be there. That's a reference to they filmed scenes with Arwen actually fighting in Helm's Deep and went, oh.
This is dumb.
Yeah. I'm glad they cut that out, to be honest. Like,
it's probably for the best.
But man, those scenes where Tom Bombadil is there and he's just fucking wrecking orcs.
He was too OP. Yeah. Way too, just too OP. There would have been, I think they looked at it and they just went, listen, if Tom Bombadil is here, this is not really a battle. It's just kind of Tom Bombadil-ing.
Is it me? Or like, if I ever imagine Tom Bombadil joining a big war, it'd be kind of like a Bollywood movie where everyone just pulls to dance with him. Like, all the orcs just dance along with him. I don't know. That's the because you don't imagine Tom Bombadil actually going on punching people, you know. Oh, Tom Bombadil, he's a very divisive character in the book/movie conversation, I think. But yeah, so yeah, we think now Isildur is dead, and Elendil is obviously not too happy about this, and they're traveling back, and the queen's on the horse, and she keeps asking, when will this fog go? And branches just hitting her in the face.
Yeah, it's complete slapstick at this point. She's just fucking, the horse is like wandering in circles all the time, and she's just like, when will we hit the? When do we? Ow! How do we get?
It's not like anything like subtle, like it's just grazing her face or anything. No, it's like
full
proper,
on,
like big branches.
There's birds shitting in her hair and stuff. She's just like, when do we get out of this forest to Elendil? And Elendil is like, yo,
4 kilometers
what?
back.
What? What forest? What are you talking about?
We're back on Numenor.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
We abandoned everybody, my queen, which is what Elendil wants to do.
He really does. Well, he wants to do that and look away from people and like break down in a very cry face. We'll get to that in a second. And we realize, the queen is blind. She takes it pretty well. You know, she's like, well, this is shit. Galadriel comes back to the base camp. We'll cover what...
Yeah, sorry, the Queen takes it more than well, I would say. Yeah, she actually shows really quite a strength of character here.
Yeah.
I think it's very,
I thought she was Queen Bitch when we first met her, but she definitely has shown like no, she she's a she has strong will. She is there
Yeah,
for a
definitely.
reason.
I
She's self-sacrificing. Leadership is not necessarily a thing that she wanted to have. It's a thing that she wants to do for her father and her people. You know, she's
mm.
willing to sacrifice herself
I
for.
didn't think her dad was being that literal either.
Yeah.
When he said all that awaits you there is darkness before she left for Middle Earth.
Nice.
I was
nice.
like, pretty on the nose with your prophecies there, pal.
Could have been maybe more than us. Do not
Pal,
go there, for you will go
Palantir?
blind in the ashes.
Yeah, that's what he could have said. Don't go there. You'll lose your eyesight, you dumb bitch.
Galadriel, also we should say, she blames herself for all of this for some reason. I mean, I guess she chased the wrong dude. You know.
Yeah, there's a
Because it would
whole
happen if she was there, or not.
there's a whole lot of like everybody seems to be wanting to take the blame for something.
Yeah.
Everybody in the show, all of them, like from Elendil to Galadriel and Halbrand in between, they all seem to be just like,
Oh,
everything's my fault. I have to fix this. I need to get my own personal revenge. But none of the rest of you should follow that path. Just me. But they're all doing it. Every single one of them. Even the Queen now is like motivated by
the hobbits. You know, even they have it. We'll get to them in a second, but I just want to cover kind of what Galadriel's story before we go into the other ones. So Galadriel eventually comes back to the camp, and she wants to apologize to the Queen, and I think this is like one of the better scenes of this season, which is look, I understand you want to probably go home, and like I'm sorry I brought you here. I'm sorry for, and she went, no, like I'll go back, but
I'm going back to get the boys.
Me. Yeah, she's like, do not pity me. I've chose to be here. And like I got tingles because she very much says like, we will win this battle. Like, and it's always that kind of loveliness we kind of see sometimes from when elves are kind of like mopey and they're like lose despair. Humans kind of come along and saying, hey, clap onto yourself. We're going to do this. There's kind of a strength. And then we suddenly realize like elves and men are still parallel. That, you know, they have an equality amongst themselves, really, in those moments, because men are willing to die for what they believe in.
Yeah.
Men as in humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, I really like that scene. I thought it was a nice nod to I mean, I got like Theoden vibes from her, even. You know,
yeah,
where
a little bit.
Misery, but he was still fight.
She's really, that's I think what we were talked about a little bit earlier. She really shows how strong she is. Not just as a queen, but just as a person in general, like within herself to choose to keep going on the path she's followed, and to do it not just for herself, for a little bit of revenge because she lost her eyesight. She's blind now, by the way, and that's where we were. Anyway, she's cool. I like her. She's very cool. Now I think she's going to run into a brick wall of luscious bearded senator gentlemen's when she returns to Numenor. He's fine. He's not up to anything. Don't worry about him.
Yeah. Don't look at the wiki of him. Don't.
No, don't go near that. He's fine. He's dead.
And she said, "Yeah, Elendil, we'll go back, won't we?" And Elendil is just kind of looking off in the distance, and he's just people. Now, a lot of people are memeing his acting in this, where he looks like you said, "Oh, looks bad." I kind of like. I mean, this man has lost his wife, and now he's lost his son, and he regrets things. I think it's just a genuine reaction of, I don't know what to do. What the fuck?
I think there was a moment where I almost expected him to launch into a bit of a soliloquy or something. There was a point where I was just like, oh, he's going to give a speech towards the camera now or something, like something's about to happen. But yeah, it's interesting to see how Elendil now will go from this point to being like the first king of men and whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it also makes sense that he goes back to Numenor while Isildur stays in Middle-earth. Like, they can start building a bit of the base of the Numenorians in Middle-earth while Isildur is doing all his stuff that he has to do in Numenor with the rebellion and
which
all
is
that
what
kind of
which
stuff.
is what they mention right here in this scene. A real quick roundup of everybody else's whereabouts. Theo, Isildur is dead under a house. Theo is back with the people.
not.
Bronwyn is alive. She's sound again, even though she was very, very nearly dead, and then a volcano fell on them. Yeah, talk about her. Why isn't she? She should be dead. She was almost dead, and then a volcano erupted. Arondir is there. He's grand. Halbrand is fucking wrecked. He got
Wrecked, yeah.
badly injured, and he can't stand up, and he probably
But
shits
he can still
himself.
ride a horse. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
He's whatever. So everybody's happy except Isildur, who's dead. And then
Yeah, he's definitely dead. He's like
dead.
I'm so impressed with people who know who Isildur is because he wasn't even involved in Lord Rings in any way.
Yeah, he's so dead. I can't believe we literally talked about this last week about how hard it must be for them to put any sort of stakes on any of these characters because we know we know where they're going to end up, and this is exactly the thing. Is like, there's no way you expect anybody to actually believe Isildur is dead, right?
Imagine I'd love if they just had a scene next episode where Elendil just goes to Theo and puts his hand out. I will call you Isildur after my son.
Yeah.
What?
They go home and Isildur's sister is pregnant by the senator guy. She has a baby and calls it Isildur 2 or something. You're like, oh yeah, okay, cool.
No, they call him Elendil as well. It's like, wait, hold on.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's Elendil the second, and Isildur the second is actually who we're following here.
Yeah.
And it's just and that's how they're not mushing the timeline together.
No,
it's actually all the sons and fathers are called Elendil and Isildur the whole way down for the next 1,000 years. But
Aragorn's name is actually Aragorn Elendil Isildur.
Yes, that's his full name. Yeah. He's not the heir of Isildur. That was a mistranslation. He's just Aragorn Isildur. That's his full name.
Attorney at law.
Yes, of course.
I don't know why
yes,
I said that.
Esquire. So anyway, the men of the Southlands and Bronwyn and all those people are basically, they're like, what are we gonna do when you all go back to Numenor? And Bronwyn says, she mentions they're gonna go to a former Numenorian colony beside the sea somewhere nearby, which is Pelargir.
It's a famous one. Yeah,
it's Pelargir, which was the first city of Gondor, essentially. So I think what's going to happen, they're going to change it slightly. So like generally after the fall of Numenor, this is where Elendil went kind of more north, and Isildur and the boys and his brother went to Pelargir, and that's where they kind of started getting people together to follow King Elendil.
Do you think there's going to be a time skip between the seasons now? Because I feel like they have to.
I don't know. I don't think they're going to do a time skip. I think they're just changing things. I think they're fitting things more into a smaller timeline in general. Because like, do you remember we talked about ages ago about what order Sauron did things in?
Yeah.
So like, there's a whole other war that has to happen basically. So I think they're going to mush it all into one war, and it'll all be one big thing. Rather than have like,
I think I'd be happy with either. To be honest, I'm okay.
I don't mind what they do.
Time skips or if they don't. I think both can work.
Yeah, I just think I think they really are gonna condense everything, so things will change in kind of the order of how they happened. Like they're not gonna have, what's the Lord of the Gifts? What's Sauron call himself when he? No, what's he call himself when he? When he's pretending to be the nice guy, whatever.
Oh. Yeah.
When he goes to everyone, and then there's supposed to be another war, and then Numenor capture him and bring him back to Numenor, and then Numenor falls, and then he goes back to Mordor and builds another army, and then like, I think they'll just like make that all one sort of
I wouldn't be shocked if we have Sauron, and I know you want to talk about this later. I wouldn't be shocked if Sauron shows up in Numenor now in the next episode or next season. As an advisor to a totally grand, nice, beardy man.
A very, very upfront about his intentions, nice, bearded gentleman.
Yeah, who's not the downfall of any sort of island people. No.
Don't. How dare you accuse him of such a feat? He could never be capable, and not him.
No.
Yeah. So anyway, Pelargir. So that's where the Southlanders are.
Is Sauron?
Celebrimbor.
I've only read it. I never really.
I
say
know,
it out
and
loud.
I think you seem to
I'm
be.
trying to adapt, but my old brain's going, no, it's not.
I think you seem to be. Your brain can't decide whether it's trying to say Celeborn or Celebrimbor at times.
Yeah. It's just like
Sturgeonbror.
yeah.
Um,
It's one of those things where you only have read it, so you never really say it. You know?
It's look, it's fine. I called Hermione Granger Hermione for the first 6 or 7 years of my childhood, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so that's what they're all doing, all nicely wrapped up in a neat little bow.
Yeah.
They're all heading back to Numenor and building bridges and.
Yeah, but we'll go over to the other lads. I will go with Elrond and
The boys!
Durin.
The fucking boys!
Yeah, they, as we know, they were trying to convince Durin's father to let them mine Mithril so they could help the elves, and Dad's having none of it. He is absolutely saying bollocks to this. No, the elves, a long time ago, it's been decided by greater minds than us that the elves will die in their own way, and I'm not getting involved. And Durin seems to very be upset about it. He says he's my friend, I need to help him, but at the same time, he's also, he accepts his king's wishes, and he, we see the scene where Elrond comes into the house, says, "Hey, how did they go?" And he just kind of looks at him and he goes, no conversation is needed. Durin's father said no. And Durin is beyond broken up about this. I have never seen a dwarf so sad in tears with a lump in his throat. Because even when he says, "I need to say farewell," and he says it's, and he seems to know the Elvish for, goodbye, basically. But, I was like, hey, don't. Elrond is actually his friend is sad about this and try to comfort him. Says, hey, no, it's fine. It actually means, I hope you face light or something like that, I think it was.
I can't remember the exact phrasing he uses, but it's basically I hope you are well until we meet again, sort of thing. Basically,
but yeah, and
but then
Elrond walks out, and
the shiny rock.
Durin's pissed off. He throws a stone on the ground, and it's next to the corrupted leaf, and we see just by literally being next to it, which makes me think, could they just take this stone and just rub it on a bunch of elves? Would that work?
So when Gil-galad first came out with this fucking mad shite about Mithril containing the light of the Silmarils and healing the elves and all this stuff, I thought he was talking a load of waffle. I honestly thought he's making up a load of shit because he wants the Mithril so Celebrimbor can make the rings, right? That's it.
Yeah.
But I think now while the weird fable that he told maybe not a true thing that happened. Yeah. He probably.
Oh, it probably is now by the end of this episode.
Yeah, but the Mithril thing was correct.
It was, because I was mentioning this to you. It's the reason why Galadriel was able to stay in Middle Earth for so long. A big part of it was that her ring sustained her, and it was a ring made of Mithril. So there was some grounds for it,
Yeah, but that's so now. I'm assuming now that it was half correct. He was half lying. The plan of having every elf on Middle Earth stand in front of a big pile of Mithril to heal them is clearly not. That's just.
It feels like it's radiation therapy.
Logistically, Gil-galad, that's not going to work. That's a nightmare. You know what kind of a queuing system you need for that and security to keep everybody in. It's just not going to happen. But I think maybe the Mithril extending the life of the elves on Middle Earth being a thing will move into the rings in general, giving the elves 3 rings of power made from Mithril will inherently extend the life of all elves.
Because it's usually the masters of the realms of elves that have the ring. So Galadriel has one of them.
Galadriel
by the Grey Havens has one at the end. The elf that looks after the Grey Havens has one of them. He gave it to Gandalf. That's why Gandalf.
Yeah,
has
Gandalf
Elven
gets
rings.
the one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there is. Does Elrond have one?
Celeborn has one, doesn't he?
So you tell me those posh fuckers keep 2 of the Elven rings themselves,
I think.
and our like Elrond's half Elven here has to fucking just be cool to keep his realm together.
Yes, that's exactly what
Fair
I'm
enough.
saying. I'm gonna really quick. Okay. Sorry, I have this open in front of me. I don't normally do this, but just to make sure I get this right, Narya, the Ring of Fire, was first worn by Gil-galad, who later gave it to Círdan, and that's the ring. Who's the elf that gave? That's the ring that Gandalf gets later.
Yeah.
Vilya also was initially owned by Gil-galad.
Gil-galad's
So,
just bloody
he had them all.
pin with
So Gil-galad had 2 of them, and he gave one to Círdan, who gave it to Gandalf, and then he kept the second one. And then when Gil-galad dies, Elrond gets it, and then the third one,
Right.
Nenya, is Galadriel's. She's the only one that's ever
she's
had
not
that.
giving it to anyone.
She keeps it
Bang.
forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And ever.
Yeah, but yeah, so I think it's fair enough. Like you said, I'm not sure about the myth being real, but I think it makes sense why this ore sustains elves. You know, it is a thing we've seen kind of before.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, he realizes when, oh no, fucking hell, this thing actually just works. Elrond! And he calls Elrond back, and they do be digging very quietly, waiting for things to settle. And they pierce deep into the mountain at the heart of where all this mithril is. Again, it does look like roots going from the top of the mountain down to the bottom.
They delve too deep in their greed.
Deep. And they're amazed because like this is it. They actually they got where they needed to be, and Durins dad shows up, and he's just like
The party pooper.
Yeah, the prick. By the way, there's mentions of brothers later on of Durin. I was like, where are they, lads? Come on, you know.
Was there?
There is, because Durin's wife mentions that you will be king, not any your brothers.
Oh,
yeah,
that's weird because I picked it up when in the next bit where Durin and Durin have their big fucking fallout.
Yeah.
Durin doesn't the king say Durin was their only kid and he was born like prematurely and they thought he was gonna die and stuff.
He might have been the first child.
He probably
That's
maybe
why
they had
he's
it.
next in
Yeah, but
line,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
He sees. Yeah, so we'll get to that. The father is not happy with him. He tells him to be arrested. He basically like his people basically grab Elrond by the scruff of the neck and the back of the pants and throw him out.
Oh yeah,
of the
yeah.
gate.
He's being ejected from the nightclub at this point. He's had too much.
Yeah.
He's over. He's way too much mithril. He can't do it anymore. Although being that close to it, Elrond is probably sound now.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe that's why he didn't eat the ring. He's like, lads, I'm fine.
He's fine. I stood in a mountain of the stuff, man. I'm
ring.
grand. I've got enough inside me to last forever.
But yeah, Durin and Durin have a talk, and King Durin talks about how he saw his son with a big grey beard. In Kratos, like, he's going to be all right. And again, I think this is a hint towards that. His son Durin is a reincarnation of the original Durin, which is what a lot of people were thinking of. That Durin in general, he's like once the while Durin gets
he talks about it in almost like a king that was promised kind of situation.
Yeah.
That he's like Durin is like the one who's gonna make the dwarves amazing and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then he gets very pissed off when Durin says, "You are betraying Mother's memory," and the two Durins are like, "No, you are. No, you are."
Really cool though, because he says that he's like shouts at his dad. He loses the head a little bit, and he's like, "Elrond is my brother. Like I think of him as family," and like.
And he was about to say his secret name as well to Elrond when they were.
Yeah.
Remember they said, "Oh, we actually have secret names." He was about to say, and Elrond, "Look, tell it to me once we get to minds. And I knew at that stage, he's never going to know, and that's going to be a bittersweet sort of thing that they could have been so close to true friendship, brotherhood between elves and dwarf, and they just miss out because of a stupid old dwarf who doesn't want to help people survive. He obviously has a bias towards elves.
His logic, King Durin's logic regarding the elves is that it has always been known that the elves' time on Middle Earth was limited.
Yeah.
They were never going to be here forever. They have an expiration point. They're going to all fuck off and die and leave or whatever at some point. Yeah. They're not here. They're not supposed to be here forever. So he's basically like, well, this is it then. We know they're not going to be here forever. This is how they die. This is how they leave. We can't fight that. Like, this is the elves' fate. I can't interfere with that. I can't interfere with the word of God, basically.
Even though, like, it seems like this thing miraculously appeared that could help the elves.
Oh, weird how that worked, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he takes his son's, I guess, his royal insignia, like the thing he holds around his neck, and he throws it on the ground. And his son very quickly goes to pick it up and says, "It's not yours anymore." You know, I guess his father has done this a few times before in the past, taking off and throwing it down.
Yeah, it's not like they don't. So because we don't know exactly what the thing that Durin wears around his chest, his neck area is. It's pretty. Yeah, you can pick up. It's his symbol of princedom or whatever. Yeah. So it's kind of, his dad is kind of disinheriting him, or someone. He's kind of basically like, no, you're not
out of line. He won't be the next king.
Yeah, you're not. You're not gonna be the king. You're no longer my son. Almost, he's like, you. Yeah. How dare you speak to me like that and invoke your mother's name to get me to try and help people who aren't my people, kind of thing.
Yeah, and Durin's wife is absolutely 100% pissed off beyond belief. There's a little bit of your mother's terrible. You're, and then it's like, look, I'm just only joking. They kind of make peace, but like, I'm surprised she just didn't end up going to the king and throttling him herself.
I honest to God, there was a part of me that thought the scene of them arguing was like King Durin was going to have a heart attack or something and just die on the spot. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've got that twice now. We had once when he's sitting in his throne quietly when Durin came in the other episode, and now we had it here. Like, I think we're meant to realize, like, he's not long for this world. No. I mean, hell, if he died in the next episode, I wouldn't be shocked, and that Durin would just take over, because I guess the king didn't go around straight away. Went, hold on a second, everyone, just know my son, not the prince anymore. Forget about it. I don't think it's one of those things.
No.
Maybe there'll be a bit of conflict between brothers and stuff, but I don't think they're going to go down that road. Or maybe it's going to be one of those things. He's on his deathbed and he's like, "I'm sorry, son." He's like, "Yeah, you old goat, fuck yeah."
I think given House of the Dragon being on the TV at the same time and what it is, I'm fairly confident saying they don't want to go near any sort of a succession storyline thing with like different factions fighting for a throne.
Yeah. It would be an interesting way of introducing some of the other halls of dwarves from other places, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so that's kind of where they seem to be at the moment. Durin is disinherited. Elrond is out on the road. And now we go...
No, we don't. Hold the fucking phone. We're not skipping the biggest moment in the episode.
Okay.
Hang on now.
Okay, the old king decides recycling is a bad idea, and he throws a corrupted leaf through the hole into the mine, and it lands, and we hear, like, I know they said, "Hey, this franchise, this is a separate storyline to the Lord of the Rings that you know from the movies." Like, it's the most Balrog looking motherfucker you'll ever see in your life, and I love it. You know?
Yeah. Well, it's the third time we've seen a Balrog in the show.
Yeah,
but this is
like, I think because we see the face, it's actually even how the effects work on the face. It's the movie Balrog. But
this is live and in person. The Balrog of fucking
the mountain.
Oh my God, Moria! Jesus Christ, my brain went. I was trying to do.
Do you think it's the same Balrog?
Yes, the same Balrog. It's Durins
It could be
Bane.
Balrogs. It could be another one.
No, it has to be Durins Bane.
But the thing is, okay, here's the thing, right? So some people are now starting to think that it might have been the wrong Durin who was the Bane that we know, because Durin's Bane, the Durin that we're talking about, is actually the young Durin, but obviously they probably want to get old Durin out of the way, so it might become older Durin's Bane.
No,
again,
it's one of those things
his father
where
gets killed, it would still be a Bane for a son.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where, like, first of all, it was cool as fuck.
Yes.
I nearly lost my shit when the Balrog showed up. As soon as he dropped first of all, as soon as we first saw the shot of the mithril spreading way down deep into the mountain, I was like, surely. And then when the leaf was falling, I was like, are we gonna see it? And then the Balrog pops up.
I want to say when they're going down, some of the cave shots look like the movie cave shots as well that we saw when they were going through Moria, you know?
Yeah. But I think it's going to be, for instance, when we come back next week for the finale, we're not going to, they've shown us the Balrog, but it's kind of like a teasery sort of thing. The Balrog's not now immediately going to start fucking killing all the dwarves and wrecking the mountain. That's a later. They've just shown it to us so everyone could go, "Oh my god, the Balrog!" And that's not. I wouldn't think going to be a major part of going forward. It's definitely not immediately. They're not going to be like, and now the dwarves are at war with a Balrog.
Yeah. If I were to guess, I could see young Durin not going with Elrond, because I think he's probably ashamed to be in front of Elrond right now. He probably feels guilty that he failed to help him. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up leaving his mountain and heading to another dwarf hall, maybe where one of his brothers are. Maybe this is why the brothers were mentioned.
Yeah, possibly.
You know?
Yeah, possibly.
And then I think we're going to have a moment where Durin has to return because the mountain is at war. And that's how he earns his kingship. His father is going to die and he has to take over.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, so let's go to the Hobbitses.
Yes.
Not Gandalf. They're coming, like, they're still traveling. This, like, the biggest thing about this time is that they leave. Like, not Gandalf leaves the hobbits. We again finally, I think we're starting to realize that he is more about healing and the good side than potentially being evil, because Owen's giving me a very interesting look right now. But he basically, he's on this tree and they went into this valley or wherever it is, where there's always a lot of fruits where they collect and stay there, and everything's burned because a big rock from Mordor flew across, God knows where they are right now, and destroyed the forest apple place. Yeah.
And Lenny Henry tells them all that the hobbits apparently have stories from their history of mountains that spew fiery rocks, and he says that one of them, they're mostly dormant, and one of them always explodes when evil returns to Middle-earth.
Yeah. Fair enough, yes. We also have Largo Brandyfoot saying, like, hey, we're hobbits. Not hobbits, we're, a word they use. It's one of the offshoots of
Harfoots.
Harfoots. And he says, look, we have, our hearts are bigger than our feet. We care about each other. We'll get through this. Don't worry about it. And then the girls get asked by Lenny Henry, said, hey, could you ask Gandalf there to fix the trees because he has magic and stuff? And they're like, no, he kind of froze my arm off, and like, he's kind of weird and dangerous. And they go, well, I'll ask. And Gandalf goes to, he is Gandalf. Look, he is Gandalf. There's no more arguing this, is there? I think no. Come on. There might be. There isn't. He's Gandalf.
There might be.
No, yeah, he might be. Maybe he's Gandalf.
He's Sauron.
He's not Sauron,
Sauron.
at all. Absolutely zero Sauron chance at this stage.
Sauron.
But he does. He starts speaking. I'm not sure if it's Elvish or if it's Valerian. Valerian.
Well, it's not Valerian anyway. Definitely, that's from a different
Whatever the
franchise.
Valar say, and I forgot the word he uses, but it basically translates into live, 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 and he almost kills a child by a branch falling down. And then they're like, "Hey, I know we asked you to do that, but you didn't do a good job, and you almost killed a child. Could you fuck off?" And he's like, "Gandalf's sad, but I will." And he leaves the encampment. She gives him an apple before he leaves. He says, "Good man yourself."
That's the shot from the posters and the teasers that we talked about.
Yeah.
The poisoned apple.
Some people said apple means wisdom and all this kind of stuff and blah blah blah. I don't know.
I said it means it's the poison apple and it means betrayal and stuff.
Yeah,
huh?
Maybe.
I said that.
I don't think this is still gonna no. He's not.
All right, fine. I'm just going to tell you what I have. Okay.
Okay. Right.
The trailer for the finale. They put this up on everything basically yesterday. I think it was. 90% of it is like a season recap thing. So it's mostly just like everything that's happened kind of up to this point. There's 2 scenes that are new. Well, there's a couple. A couple of them are from a teaser. Did you watch the teaser even for the next thing? This was like a full trailer. Anyway, so there's a couple of them. There's bits of, first of all, okay, I'll try not to tell you everything then if you don't want to know any of it.
No, I'm okay. No, I keep it for this podcast so I can.
Okay. So first of all, it looks like Nori gets possessed by the weird creepy blonde guy somehow.
Yeah. It's not a guy, it's a girl.
Yeah, whatever.
By the way.
They get fucking. She gets creepily.
I love 2022 because he's like, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I don't fucking care. They get creepily. She gets possessed or something. I don't know. There's a shot of her and she like opens her eyes and she has the same the exact same eyes as she has. The weird person.
They have.
And then there's a scene of Galadriel like fighting something in a river. The same river that Nori is in the other shot.
Yeah.
So I guess at some point Galadriel catches up to them, and then there's a voiceover, a voice I don't recognize, but I'm going to assume is the creepy people, and they say the line they say is, it's something like you must now know who you are, who you have always been. You are Lord Sauron.
Okay, but here's the thing, man. This show is done misdirect after misdirect after misdirect.
Well, they're not talking to Nori or Galadriel, are they?
Maybe they are talking to Galadriel.
Maybe Nori is Sauron. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I'd be a little bit disappointed if they ended up going, "Oh, Sauron had some good in him after all," but it's once he remembers who he is, he'll turn complete evil. I would rather if they thought he was Sauron, but he wasn't, because Sauron is a Maya, so is Gandalf. Maybe these are signs of Maya arriving. They can feel that he's a Maya, but they got it wrong.
Maybe he's Sauron, and we were right from episode 1.
Maybe this is the ultimate test, because he's constantly saying, "Am I a threat? Am I the bad person? Like,
and the answer
am I a danger to these people?"
Yes.
Or it might be like, "You are Sauron," and goes, "No, I am not. I am Gandalf the Grey."
Yeah, that's what he says. Yeah.
He suddenly they just morph his face.
No, I am not. He turns around and he's like, "No, I am not. I am Gandalf Mithrandir, the Grey Wizard, wielder of the Flame of Arnor." He gives his full fucking titles from the future.
It goes pure Sailor Moon, like the ring appears around his finger, like a transformation scene.
Yeah. Form of Gandalf the Grey.
But yeah, and we kind of like Nori. Tori's not a good people. Nori wakes up the next day and she's like, "You fat bitch, Poppy, why are you eating all these fucking apples? Why you eat the apples? Like, look around." And not only one tree has grown apples, they all grown apples, almost like a gift.
The Lord of Gifts, you mean? Sauron?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to imply.
Huh?
Yes.
So you were on my side now, I see.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not on anybody's side because no one is on mine. We get a reference to the Ents as well at one stage. It's like the trees don't talk, and
Some
I
do.
think Sadok goes, some do, and then we see a cool line of like Sadok. Well, know-it-all Hobbit woman goes like, I was wrong. He was a good man. We need to go and help and save him. And Sadok, you go. And Sadok goes, oh, bitch, you always have to be right. And he's going to, guide them. Yeah, Vilma tells Sadok to go and help guide them to find where Gandalf Sauron is. Oh, Sauron. Sauron. We also get the weird
Sourdalf.
Yeah, we also get the weirdos show up because they're hunting him, and I don't know why you would need any army if you have people like that, because they can just set things on fire without being near him. Like they come over and says, we get very much like a deleted scene from the Lord of the Rings where the ring rats go to Hobbit, where's back? Oh, they're up in Hobbiton. We kind of get that vibe because she's, he's gone that way. Now leave us alone. Blah, blah, blah. And they went, I don't believe you. And they just set fire to the entire encampment. And that's kind of what spurs them as well to go and see if they can help him. Small acts, small everyday deeds of ordinary folk. Keep the darkness at bay.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to try and help Gandalf out.
Yeah.
Or Sauron, whichever.
Yeah, they are. They're going to try.
Yeah. Be interesting to see what they'll do.
Get possessed, apparently.
Yeah. I think it's a bit too obvious if they suddenly go so Sauron, especially in that teaser thing. I think there's something else afoot there as well. Again, this show has been very good at throwing out. But this show has been very good at throwing out like red herrings.
Well, what's
this?
Somebody's talking to somebody. So
yeah, but again, that doesn't mean that is gospel, because we have Nori being the voice of the unknown truth. Like she says, I don't feel any evil in him. I think he's good. And then we have evil people who tend to be corrupted and don't really know the truths of the world. They try to claim them and make them, but they're rarely right. It's just storytelling wise. It makes
Sauron was a good guy once.
He wasn't. He was when he was hanging out with the Valar, but even then he got corrupted by Melkor fairly.
He got corrupted, therefore he was a good guy once.
Come with me, and he goes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but he was corrupted. He had to start as he was a good guy when he started. He had a different name. He was called the fucking Wonderful One or something.
I don't want any sort of sympathetic elements of Sauron in this age. I think that would kill me.
Why? Isn't that exactly what Tolkien wanted?
No, because he's. Is it?
Huh? Isn't that what we were talking? Isn't that exactly what we were talking about the orcs last time out?
The orcs, not Sauron.
Huh? Yeah,
not Sauron.
You
You're
can't.
Just saying me. You're not even saying
paint. But if it applies to the orcs, it applies to their Lord Darkness, man.
No, it doesn't, because they make a big point that the orcs were enslaved.
Listen, all I'm saying is maybe Lord Sauron was an okay guy.
Oh, the good guys on both sides, is there?
Maybe he was. Maybe he had some valid points. That's all I'm trying to say.
Fucking Trump just sees Sauron and says he's a good guy.
He's a good friend of mine. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay, maybe he's all right.
Yeah, no, I don't want any sympathy or decency in him. He is beyond. He's a trickster at this stage. He tries to make people think he's good, but maybe Gandalf is. He knows us.
Maybe maybe Lord Sauron's biggest trick of all was convincing the world that he's a bad guy, because he knew the world needed a bad guy to bring them all together. Yeah,
against just him.
Yeah, they needed something to come to. They needed a mutual hatred, so he gave them one.
Yeah. That worked out, because we really saw it after the first war he had against men and elves. Like the elves and men were like so tight afterwards.
Yeah,
you didn't constantly have everyone going, fucking men are awful.
No, not at all. They're all. He tried. I didn't say he was successful. He tried though.
Yeah. So you're just saying he's just really bad at everything he's doing.
Sauron, I think that's fairly self-evident. He lost. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's it.
Yes, Mr. Frodo. It's over now.
For
Well,
this
then
episode,
comes the scene that you mentioned at the start. The final scene of this
which
episode
was
is Adar and the orcs in their new
Oh, yeah.
homeland, and the orcs are like, what do we call blah blah blah? We finally have a home, and Adar does some weird thing, and then
they go,
it's like he's about and he's about to say, he's like, we shall, or this land will now be called, and he like stands up and looks up into the sky in the distance, and he's about to say Mordor, and then instead of just having him say it, they like pan out and they show a big wide shot of Mordor, and you can see Mount Doom in the background,
and you see
and
Southlands.
Southlands comes up, and then it gets crossed out, and Mordor pops up on the screen.
Yeah.
I
mean, I feel it would be better if they just went out to darkness and just heard him go, Mordor. You know, like that would have been.
Yeah, I don't know why they did it with the text thing. To be honest, it was it was it was an odd choice. Still,
for a second, I thought when
I'm okay
they were
with
chanting Adar, it would slowly get morphed into Mordor because it's not that far away.
Adar, Ardor, Nordor, Mordor. It's like Chinese whispers gone wrong.
One of the orcs doesn't do it right. It's like, oh,
no,
sorry.
it's Chinese whispers passing through the ranks of the orcs. It starts as Adar. By the time it hits the guy in the back, he thinks, "What are we chanting? Mordor? Oh yeah, cool. I like that."
It's good that they didn't chant it backwards then, and they go back to Adar. It's like Moriori. What?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the name of this land, Moriori.
Moriori. Yeah. And that's the end.
Yeah. Okay,
Forever.
folks. Season end. We'll have that out at the end of the week sometime. Last episode for the season. Let us know what your predictions are. Is Gandalf Sauron? Is Sauron Gandalf? Is he none of them?
Oh, sorry.
Still be one.
One other thing that was in the teaser for next week, which looked pretty cool, is there was a shot of an item being forged in a particular ring-like shape. And Celebrimbor,
ring?
It's a ring. It looks like, and Celebrimbor says something. He sounds angry almost, and he says something. He's like, "We are on the cusp of forging that which will save us," or something along those lines.
Yeah. So again, like this is the whole idea about the Mithril.
Yeah.
Actually having.
So maybe we get a prototype ring of power that doesn't quite work properly. We get one of them.
Rings.
Yeah, we get Ninja or one of them, and Gil-galad.
Well, I'd say it's probably a
proto
ring before anything, because if you look back at the Lord of the Rings, Gandalf makes a point that there have been many magical rings of varying powers. Like, it's not just the rings that were giving, like, those were the rings of power that were given to the elves, the men, the dwarves, but other rings were probably made as well. Like, they're just at a lower level, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it for now. Folks, let us know what you think is going to happen with Gandalf. Do you think Durin's going to leave his home? Is it weird that they still want to just make a bath of like mithril that elves can like lie in and, you know, heal themselves from the plague? What is that plague? Just corruption of the world in general?
No idea.
I know Melkor has fucked things up. Maybe it's just
it's COVID.
Remains of COVID. It's a metaphor for COVID.
The elves have COVID.
And, yeah. And the only way to get over it is finding dwarfs and magical stones to get rid of it.
Yeah, or like drinking bleach or whatever.
Yeah. Healing crystals.
Yes.
Anyway. Folks, hope you had a good one. Let us know what you thought of the episode. Let us know what you think is coming up soon. And look after yourselves. So bye for me. Bye-bye.
Asherlo. It's a big rent.